Hello dear viewer. Today we are going to speak of a ship that oft lays forgotten in the great and arduous history of Star Citizen. And we are going to bring this fair lady back into the light once more so that the sun may shine upon its hull once more. Oh yes, Crusader. Crusader Industries is a ship designer I've had a love and hate relationship with for many years. From their waste of space to their lack of doors and then too many doors. From the days of yore in 2020 when the only ship I had in my hangar was a Mercury Starrunner. I love them and I hate them. But the Starliner is a ship that stands apart from its siblings due to its design, and it is why I am so interested in this vessel in particular. Therefore, today we are going to do a bit of a deeper dive into the Starliner, because it is a true marvel of design that I sit back and await eagerly, with the bubbles starting to form as I froth, coat, and seethe.
I don't know if you guys are history buffs or not.
Through my arduous research on the Squadron 42 retrospective, I came across a boon of a source that I will continue to draw from in the future. That source being Around the Verse, which is where we got to see a great in-depth look at the early days of the Genesis Starliner. Here we can witness the early stages of the design philosophy at the time and how crude the life of a ship begins, before we get to see them as the masterpieces they later become. At least the way that they used to do it way back in the day. But I'd venture to guess that this may actually be partly how they still do it to this day. And the original concept sale for the Crusader Genesis Starliner began on June 27th, 2015. And it has since then been in development hell, where it probably will remain for the foreseeable future.
Wow. The lore goes deeper than I thought.
The Genesis Starliner, or the LH-307 Genesis Starliner, was designed by Kelly Kaplan, who eventually rose to become the current CEO of Crusader Industries. The Starliner is most often used by transportation companies such as Meridian Transit. The Genesis Starliner is also famous for its military and political use, being heavily used as VIP transport within the different armed branches of the UEE. The Imperator also possesses at least one example, which is cheekily referred to as Imperator 1, harkening back to the at this time ancient American tradition of naming the plane carrying the President's Air Force One. Does this count as me making another lore video? End of lore. I'm special! The Genesis Starliner upon its original concept was made as 85 meters long, 90 meters wide, and 16 meters high. Though this is definitely going to change, seeing as the concept is just that old. And to accommodate for the new features the game will require, a reconcept is likely. Thusly, as the components are size 2s and 3s in the old brochure, I think it's prudent to say that they are likely to grow with the ship. The ship supposedly also comes with a single turret, that being a size 4 turret. But this is definitely changing. This vessel doesn't even have a pilot-controlled weapon, because it's not supposed to fight, which I quite like. But the Starliner will likely launch with a few more defensive turrets, but critically, I believe we will see plenty of PDCs added to the hull for its protection. It's supposed to get the passengers where they need to go safely, not to scrap with pirates, so a suite of defensive measures is indeed something that I foresee in its future. But if we look to the M80, as much as I don't like it or its design, I am happy to see that CIG is daring to go beyond rigid design language and expand the catalogs of the ship manufacturers, so that we may get different designs from the same manufacturer. Because one of the things that truly terrifies me about the Genesis Starliner is the potential of losing its Art Deco style, which I will cover a little bit more later. So there, I technically said a positive thing about the M80, so there is that. But this can of course change depending on configuration and what the owner desires to accomplish with this vessel. And to accomplish this, they use different modules. Wow, modularity, haha, yes. Such as the following modules. The Transit module, which is in essence the base model intended to move people and cargo in a modular capacity where companies can freely mix and match the level of luxury and comfort that they desire. The Private module, a private luxury conversion that definitely won't be taking you to any islands anywhere. The Racing module, which is naturally a modification to facilitate the easy transportation of different racing vessels and their associated teams. Which one is your favorite race? And it could also come with potentially modular engines such as the Neo G engines, which are supposed to be more efficient.
Girl, that's a booty
Whoop-de-doo.
hole. Okay, welcome aboard City Airman. This is your captain speaking.
The most important aspect of the Genesis will always be its ability to transport a reasonable amount of people and cargo from A to B. And the thing that will continue to hold this ship back, and many others like it, is the obvious elephant in the room which we cannot transport: the passenger gameplay. Back in the olden times, they described how they envisioned a process where you, as an aspiring passenger pilot, would need to acquire a license.
You got a license for that, bruv? I do.
I don't think you have, mate. Because passenger transportation is of course a heavily regulated activity in real life, so it would track that CIG would attempt to emulate this. After acquiring the license, players would go to a landing zone, select the route that they were going to take, and then start the sale of tickets. One important aspect of ensuring a profitable route is the license fee a player would have to consistently pay in order to maintain it. Reputation would also be heavily built into the system, whereas you probably know yourself, when you travel, you want to go with someone that'll get you there safely. The gameplay would not stop once you started flying though, but would actually continue mid-air where you could take part in a bartender minigame. Apparently the quality of your mixed drinks and your ability to deliver on time would have an effect on your overall reputation score. My word! You could have friends play as flight attendants. For some reason, there'd be an onboard entertainment system called ICE, or Information, Communication and Entertainment. Hell, even onboard and in-flight emergencies would take place, but you'd need to save ailing passengers in the back if they ate the 3-day-old tuna casserole instead of the peanuts. And upon landing, you, dear captain, would need to give the passengers the all-clear signal for them to deplane? De-ship the space aircraft. I suppose if you gave them the all-clear mid-air, they'd all just jump out. There are many possibilities that could be done with this. But then, upon delivering your passengers unharmed, unspoiled, and untraumatized, you'd get your pay and reputation sorted so that you could go on to your next route. Wow. It is quite hilarious to consider the potential of all this and how good it all sounds on paper, only to then realize the absolute state of the game that it currently is in if they tried to implement any of this today, and how broken it would be and how fantastically it would surely play.
I'm thinking.
One thing that worries me is, as the likelihood of a reconcept increases over time, that it'll lose its very distinct art style, which I would personally put somewhere between Art Deco and the 1950s Americana. And I absolutely adore the sheer style which the Starliner exudes, because it does harken back to a previous era in Star Citizen ship design. The more Star Wars-y, lived-in, grittier style that I fucking adore. But all the manufacturers do have their own particular design characteristics, which the M80 has now sort of broken from, being the most Kruger-looking origin ship ever. So there could and should be hope that the original design would be maintained. But alas, due to the asset libraries they build as they make these ships, I fear that the E1 Spirit will arrive long before the Starliner, and have a clear effect on the overall design of the ship. The E1 is the little brother of the Starliner, so it would track that they'd want them to rhyme.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
And it does track that they would not wish to spend more time making a mostly separate library for the Starliner. So it does make sense that they'd want to reuse as much as possible. I would, however, argue that the E1 is a conversion from the standard Spirit, which is a pure cargo vessel originally, and the Starliner is a pure-ish passenger ship. So with that in mind, one could hope that they would make this ship truly separate from the rest of the ships of the Crusader lineup. John Crew, please make this ship. Thank for watch. Like, comment, subscribe. Money me. Bye. As always, a stupendous thank you to all my wonderful Banu merchantmen, without whom all of this would be improbable. A deep and most humble thank you to my wonderful Apex fishies. Fond, Raptor Jesus,
DJ Crowbar,
Half-Breed Bastard,
Magic,
a suspicious thank you to my Sustremings,
Unknown Tim,
Mouseclick,
Haubvogel,
Nilsy Boy, Austrian Let's Play,
DJ Crowbar,
Combat Creations, Half-Breed Bastard, Leduc, Davidri. An ostentatious thank you to my fantastic people, Ifanura, Styles, Neoma, and Ignore Me. And a benevolent thank you to my Finthusiasts,
Dark Silver,
Nofa, Beskar Armor,
Volteca,
Elenium Productions,
XDK,
The Ham Jam, Noclat,
Comrade Winston, Bloodix,
and Monk.
and a natural thank you to all my wonderful herrings and roes.
Thank you all very much for the money. Apparently the quality of your fucking cock